Hi there. Thank you so much for being here. My name's Erin. This is Newish Wave. I've been out for about 6 months. Thank you for your patience. I'm so excited to talk today about how do we even know what key we're playing in? Do we have to guess? Do we have to Google it? Well, there are kind of 3 pieces of investigative evidence that I like to use when I'm trying to figure out what a song that I like, what key it's played in. So we're going to look at those today through the example of Puppets by Depeche Mode. One cool thing that happened recently is I have a synthesizer now, so we're going to move over there in a moment to look at a couple of the big synth riffs from Depeche Mode's Puppets. Then we'll come back over here and I'm going to share 3 ways that you can investigate, kind of look around, observe the notes and chords that you're using, and come to a conclusion of what key you're playing in. And you know what? Most of the time it's probably going to be right. I'll share that with Puppets, I was in a way wrong of what key I thought it was, but I wasn't, because it was the relative key of the right one. So I'll share what that means as well when we get to it. Let's head over to the synthesizer. So looking at 3 ways to investigate what key might I be playing in, what chords are you using, what note or chord do you come back to that feels like home and like things are resolved when you play it, and how many black or white keys are we using? Are we using sharps and flats? Those are all indicators of what key we might be in. So let's check it out with the actual notes here and see what was going on. I'll do kind of a slow-mo of what we saw earlier. We'll start by looking at the 3 chords that are part of the sections that you heard earlier. So we heard E minor, C, and D. Well, that's my first piece of information, right? So I'm going to look at the chord chart and notice, oh, those 3 chords often hang out together in the key of G, because you can see how this little system of the chart sets things up like that for you. Well, that's my first piece of evidence. Okay, right now I'm feeling like maybe this is going to be key of G. But I'll tell you what, my second piece of evidence is going to appear to disagree. So let's look again with that other question in mind. What note or chord do we come home to? And here we are. Oh, they're E's, they're not G's. Okay, in many cases, these would be the same. You're in the key of C, you start and end at a C, and you play a lot of C chords. That's how it often works. But something different is going on here. Partially because it's a minor key, partially because there are 2 ways of expressing keys. Okay, so far we think it might be a G, it might be an E. Let's try our 3rd check, which is figuring out if we have a lot of sharps and flats, and then checking what keys do those usually hang out in. So I'm going to play the second part now that we heard. Just, I'll actually just do real simple again so you can really see the notes. Lo and behold, I seem to have hit a sharp or a flat. It was F sharp. So there was 1 black key here. And then I can check again with the chord wheel, or maybe if I remember, I know what key has only 1 sharp and 0 flats. It's G. So now I'm back to my original thought, right, from the first piece of evidence. Okay, is it G or is it E? Let's talk a little more about that E, because it's going to matter whether it's E major or E minor, the chord and the key. Okay, we had a video before about how to tell what is a minor chord, so if you want to check that, that's right there. But I'm going to show something again on the piano here about how we can kind of tell, are we in E minor or E major, if it does indeed turn out to be E. So here's E, and here's an E minor chord, and here's an E major chord. And I see my camera is drifting. Let me hold it better. So we could have, or, I could play it this way, or. Which one sounds like the song? I'd say the first one, right? That song has mood and melancholy. It's one of the go-tos that I love about Depeche Mode, that you're going to have that kind of minor mood with the pieces, right? So to me, that clears that up. If we were in E, we would be in E minor, not E major. Okay, so are we in E minor or G? Well, guess what? Surprise answer, both. There's such a thing as relative key, basically the concept that you can have one sound in a major chord that sounds bright, but you can use those notes starting from a different order in a different way that sounds more melancholic and interesting and moody like that, like a minor piece, a minor chord, a minor key. And so I'll finish with one kind of crazy thing on that. I'm going to need to do another video on relative keys because that's pretty confusing. But I'll show you how to look at the scale, meaning the notes in a row of E minor and G, and we're going to find out they are the same notes. But depending on if you start at E minor or G, you get that feeling of a minor or a major. It's amazing how everything connects in this world of music. And it took me a long time to realize all the different ways things connect. But here we can have the notes of this with the one F sharp, right? Starting from E. Doesn't it sound a little bit like someone has a secret? If we play the same notes starting from G, they simply sound bright and happy and, oh, it's like a regular day, right? That's the difference. One of them sounded like a minor, one of them sounded like a major. And so when we talk about Puppets by Depeche Mode, even though on a technical level it could be either E minor major or G major, because those are relative majors of the same or relative keys of the same thing, we know that this song is in minor because we can hear it through the mood. And that's why we can make our final decision with all that evidence that Puppets by Depeche Mode is in the key of E minor. So check it out. Feel free to Google it. I've seen it represented in other keys too, because you can take a song and change what key it's in. But when you're looking at your next song and you want to figure it out, try those 3 tricks. See if it works for you, that you don't have to look it up. You can figure it out by using that sort of investigation. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be back at you really soon. I already have lots of other videos in production, so I can't wait to talk with you about the next one. Have a great day.